Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. I know you guys are sick of the same intro. One day, I will create like a pre-made intro with the music and all the cool shit. But for today, that is not the day. I do want to welcome you to the Let's Talk Hair podcast from Combed Education. I'm Araz Nelson. I am your host. I am your industry friend. Been in the game for a very long time. So today, I'm kind of continuing with this theme of lightening hair. Last week, we talked all about, lightening hair. And today I want to talk about, what actually happens to the hair when we bleach it. So all of us, at some point, if you're a colorist, all of us use either bleach, lightener, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. You want to call it bleach, lightener, lightening powder. I don't care. Okay. You use it. The shit that's a powder that gets hair lighter. Okay. Whatever you want to call it. But either way, we've all used it to some degree behind the chair. So I want to offer a little bit of clarity, a little bit of perspective on what actually happens, like chemically, scientifically, to the hair when we put bleach on a hair strand. Before we get into it, let's break down what we use to lighten hair: bleach and developer. Granted, you can lighten hair using permanent color. You can lighten hair using high lift color. Today, we're talking about bleach and developer. Okay. What is it? What does it do? How does it work? I got you. So first up, bleach. What does bleach contain? Well, number one, it contains an alkalizer. If you've been around here for a while, you've heard this a million times. So I'm going to ask you to hear it with new ears. Okay. An alkalizer has two main jobs when it comes to bleach. Okay. Number one, its job is to soften and swell the hair. Remember, hair's happy place because it doesn't actually technically have a pH, because with pH, we're measuring potential hydrogen. That doesn't happen in dry hair. So hair's happy place is between a 4.5 to 5.5. So anything with a pH higher than that will soften and swell the hair fiber. Okay. Now, anything above a 7 on the pH scale is considered alkaline, but even a 6 or a 6.5, even though it's acidic on the pH scale, is still alkaline to the hair. Okay. But based on the pH scale, anything above a level 7 is considered alkaline. So the higher the pH of the product that we put on the hair, the more the hair will swell. And this is because hair, remember I said it doesn't have a pH, it takes on the pH of the environment that it's in. Most lighteners, bleaches, bleaching powders, whatever, have a pH range between 10.0 to 12.0, which means at like 12.0, hair is incredibly swollen, like between 25 and 30% swollen from its happy place at a 4.5 to 5.5. So the alkalizer softens and swells. Number two, the alkalizer's job is to initiate the chemical process, to start it. So essentially, your alkalizer is the catalyst that initiates this chemical reaction with the developer, okay, which is an oxidizing agent. So once the developer, which is acidic, is mixed with the lightener, which is alkaline, boom, a chemical reaction occurs, and then the developer begins releasing its oxygen, okay? So in bleach, we got alkalizers. Number one, soften and swell is the alkalizer's job, and number two, to initiate the process. So we've got the alkalizers, and then we've got persulfates. Persulfates are inorganic salts that are designed to break down an organic substance, AKA hair is an organic substance. So a persulfate's job is to break down these organic substances, which are the hair fibers. Three main persulfates that are used in bleach are ammonium persulfate, potassium persulfate, sodium persulfate. Most lighteners and color removers have a combination of all of these salts, okay? So that's your bleach. Lastly, let's talk about your developer. Developer, like I said earlier, is an oxidizing agent that when it's mixed with an alkaline substance creates this chemical reaction that degrades the hair fiber, breaks down the hair fiber, diffuses the hair fiber, fractures the hair fiber. Developer does that in combination with the alkalizer. Okay. So remember, let's talk about the hair fiber. I say this a lot. I think there's so many of us who, I mean, at some point you learned about the hair fiber. You had to in order to pass your state board. But because we like work on hair day in and day out, I believe that some of us are desensitized to like how unique the hair fiber is. And because we're so desensitized to it, sometimes we become negligent with it because we work on it all day. So it's like, oh, it's just hair. But like, let's talk about for like a hot second, what is in that hair fiber. So obviously we've got the cuticle layers, the cortical fibers, and then some hair fibers do and do not have a medulla. I go way in depth on this in the fundamentals course, talking about exactly what's in those cortical fibers, but 95% of hair, a hair fiber, is made up of keratin protein. These are amino acids. Like I said, I go way in depth on it, but they're amino acids. 1 to 2% of the hair fiber is melanin. 1 to 2%. It could be eumelanin, pheomelanin, mixed melanin, trichosyderion if they're a redhead. It's only up to 2% of that hair strand has melanin. And then also there's other minerals and all kind of stuff, right? So when we mix up our bleach with a developer, the chemical reaction occurs. So let's break down that chemical reaction, because I remember like for the longest time, I didn't understand it. And I was like, okay, when I'm bleaching brown hair and I go to wash it, why is there no brown going down the drain? Like, or black hair, if I put bleach on my black hair, because if I color my hair black and I go to wash it, there's black running down the drain. Why wasn't that happening with bleach? Now, listen, to some of you, you're like, no shit, Araz, and we all fucking know that. But I didn't, okay? I didn't. And I know, there are some people who've probably had this same thought. So don't get into a position of just like, well, duh. No, because there's some people who don't understand this. So I would be like, where does the color go? So when we mix our bleach and developer, the chemical reaction occurs. So number one, the alkalinity of the lightener, remember its job, alkalinity, causes the hair fiber to swell, giving the developer access through the cuticle layers, through that CMC, that intercellular cement, and into the cortical fibers of the hair where all those proteins are, where the melanin is, where the minerals are, okay? The alkalinity also initiates the developer so that it can start releasing its oxygen. The persulfate salts, in combination with the developer, begin to break down the whole hair fiber. All 95% of the keratin protein and that melanin, okay? It's only 2% melanin. So the sulfate salts, the developer, the alkalinity, it's breaking down that whole fiber. So it's actually kind of interesting where we call it lift, like we're lifting hair out or hair up, we're lifting, but in reality, we're breaking down, right? We are breaking down that hair structure. So melanin is trapped in like little melanocytes, and when exposed to the alkalinity and the oxidizing agent and the persulfate salts and all the stuff, the melanocytes rupture and the melanin gets degraded. Remember, it's a breakdown, not the lift out. We're not lifting anything out, we're breaking things down. So the melanin gets diffused and then begins to be broken down with that chemical reaction of the bleach and the developer. The more melanin that gets broken down, the more light can pass through that hair fiber, giving us a lighter visual result. So a takeaway here for you, I'm hoping, is that when we put bleach on the hair, our goal is to lighten the hair. right? Like obviously we're putting bleach on it so that we get a lighter visual result, and then we tone if we need to. The bleach, the developer, the persulfate salts, the alkalizer, they don't have a brain. So they don't know, let's just attack the melanin. No, it breaks down the whole hair fiber, and we're hoping that it breaks down that 2% of melanin while it's doing that. So you've got to understand that when you put lightener on, even with a lower developer, it's never healthy for the hair. And I'm laughing, and I don't mean to be laughing, but like, it's never good for the hair. Like, you are putting a substance on the hair fiber that is breaking it down. So yes, bleach causes damage. Now, a little bit of damage is one thing. Catastrophic damage is another. So again, remember I was saying earlier how sometimes we get a little negligent because we're so desensitized to hair that we don't think, and then we just slap the bleach on 30 volume, put them under the heat, whatever, however you do it. Even if you're respectful and responsible with it, there is still a breakdown happening. So the developer, the bleach, they don't know to go get those 2% of melanins. It's breaking down the whole hair fiber. And as that whole hair fiber gets broken down, more light can pass through, which is why we see a lighter result. It's not lifting up, and then when you go to wash it, you see all the pigment going down the drain. It's just creating holes, right? It's just creating holes so that more light can pass through. This is like layman's basic terms, just for us to understand what is happening. So the more melanin that gets broken down, the more hair fiber gets broken down, more light passes through it so that we see a lighter result. I hope this was helpful. So what is it then that determines how this process happens, how fast it happens, and what the final result is going to be? What determines that? Well, part of it is your bleach, like which bleach are you using? What is a developer that you're using? But the main factor is the hair fiber itself, right? Each hair fiber, canvas, strand, whatever you want to call it, is unique and so incredibly nuanced that most of us, okay, and if this isn't you, take what works, leave what doesn't. I'm not trying to ruffle any feathers, but most of us will be like, okay, she's a level 3, so I need to use a really stronger bleach, maybe a higher developer, maybe a little bit of heat, versus, oh, well, she's a level 7, she must lift easier, because, you know, we've all seen the freaking, the undertone chart, not chart, it's a hair swatch, or like a, oh my God, what am I trying to explain here? So in your color book, or some people sell it, right? It's the natural level and then the undertone. So you see like a 1, a level 2, a level 3, all the way up to a level 10. And then you see the underlying warmth that's exposed within each of those levels. This is a tool for us, and it's a great tool, but because of that, and because the only thing we think about 90% of the time is the level we're at to the level we're getting to, it's kind of done us a disservice, because in our minds, we're like, oh, look, the level 2 has such a long way to travel to get to a level 10. We got to go in guns blazing with the big dogs. And then, oh no, my level natural 7 client, she can get there, no problem. It's only 3 levels. So let me use something a little more gentle. Well, no, because it's not just the level, right? I talk about in my class that level is there as a guide for us. It's not law. Because there are some people that are a natural level 3 that will get to a level 10 like this. And then there are some people who are natural level 7 that just get fucking stuck at gold. And like, you can't get them past gold. And then you get them past gold, and then 2 months later they come in and their hair's fucking gold again. Why? Well, it's because of the hair fiber. So, you know, we use level as our main determining factor on what is possible for that hair. And that is one of many tools, not resources, but like that's one of many points of consideration when we're lightening hair. So what is going to determine how the hair is going to lighten, how fast it's going to lighten? is going to be the hair itself. Each fiber is unique in its density, in its texture, in its porosity, in its health, like so freaking nuanced. And a lot of us just blanket it as, oh, it's just hair. Well, it's not. There's so much more to it. So this is why some people will lift extremely brassy, and then some people get to a clean level 9 like butter, right? Is it the bleach? Maybe. But it's also understanding what the hair is contributing outside of just the level, right? So if this is your thing, okay, if you geek out on the science, the chemistry, the artistry, if you're wanting to go from colorist to like master colorist, to really know your shit, right? Know what the hair is going to do before a fucking chemical touches it. Know exactly what your formulations are going to do before the process even happens. Like that assurance, that confidence, all of that is in the fundamentals course shop. So if you're into it, I'm obviously going to encourage you to go check that out, because I think understanding what we are doing fully behind the chair is the key to making better choices in the products that we use and what's going to build our confidence in really any hair color situation. So you can click, I'm going to put the link down in the description here. You can click on that for $500 off if you're interested in the fundamentals course shop. This is an online program. It is go at your own pace, do it in your own space, but it's not just sit there and watch a class for 5 hours. Everything is broken down into bite-sized pieces, and it's a fusion of online and hands-on. So when you register, and you'll see this all on the page, when you register for the class, you get a fun box, and the fun box has everything you need to do the hands-on experiments that accompany each lesson. So you're getting the learning from watching, and then you're getting the learning from doing. So we focus a lot on the science, the chemistry, and the artistry of what we do behind the chair. I don't care what line you use. I don't care what brand you support. They all work. And my goal is to teach you how to work with whatever you got. So I hope this was helpful. If you don't see the link below, basically just go to combeducation.com/fundamentals, but click on the link below because that's the one that gives you $500 off. I hope this was helpful for you. Until next time, happy hair coloring.